Conversations with Azu Ishekwene.
Riding on the waves of information technology, artificial intelligence is rushing at the world at almost the speed of sound. This was one of the concerns of media professionals who gathered for the 20th annual conference of Nigerian Guild of Editors in the Bayelsa State capital in Agua to deliberate, amongst other issues, on the effect of artificial intelligence on the media industry. One of the papers presented by Azu Ishekwene was on artificial intelligence and its effects on the media industry, from which he had condensed what we bring for you today on our discussion on Conversations with Azu, and it is aptly titled, "Is AI Coming for the Journalist?" You're welcome to Conversations, Azu.
Thanks for having me once again, Julie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Is AI coming for journalists, like you've appropriately designated your column? And I want to give you a practical reference you also cited. And on a serious note, I wanted to say on a lighter note, but on a very serious note, AI gave you a floor plan and design of your apartment in minutes.
Yes.
On an industry scale, if AI was to do this, what is going to happen to the building industry?
Well, AI is doing it already. As I have also said in a number of my articles and conversations on this very important subject, I do not think that it's actually correct to frame it as a contest between man and machine, or man versus machine. I think it's man and machine working together. Of course, there are downsides to it, but AI is already doing a lot. I mean, it's just sometimes when we invent fancy names for certain things, people think that those things are new, but AI, artificial intelligence, or use of machines or robots, automated means to give us a sense of what is happening. It's not new. I mean, back in the day when we used to even to have weather forecast, most rudimentary form, that was some form of use of some form of machines or artificial intelligence, giving us an idea, of what kind of weather we are going to have the next day, but of course, improvements in info and biotech have made it more precise, and we can get it over a much longer range, and also over a much wider range of subjects and disciplines and fields, because, as I said, of the improvements in infotech and biotech. So really, it's here to stay. I think the challenge really for me, or the task, is how we are able to adapt artificial intelligence, to improve the quality of life, adapt it for its most beneficial advantages, so man and machine working together for the improvement of society.
Man and machine, collaborating. And man is becoming increasingly afraid of fakes, of wrong information and all of that. And man is relying on artificial intelligence. The synonym for artificial itself is fake. So isn't it a paradox that, okay, we don't want fake news, we don't want wrong information, we don't want problems, and then we're going to use something that might bring about results or consequences that we cannot definitely, say, okay, this is the black and the white of it?
I think it was a professor of computer science, Professor Rizzoni, I think an Italian professor, who said AI is a tool. How we deploy it is entirely up to us. And I think that really summarizes it. It's like a knife as well, and depending on, like any weapon,
The double-sided sword.
Yeah, so it really depends on how it's deployed. You remember that also, these are concerns that go back to the Industrial Revolution, when the Industrial Revolution came, and then man started worrying, what was this going to mean for jobs? What was this going to mean for communities, and so forth and so on. It's been pretty much the same right down the centuries, that each time there is an advancement or there's an improvement in technology, we all often genuinely are concerned about how it's going to affect us, how it's going to affect our safety, how it's going to affect how we have known, how it's going to affect lives as we have known how to live it. But that does not mean that, so what man has done over time also is to find ways of dealing with there are genuine concerns, obviously, especially concerns about safety, about regulation, about liability, about fairness, about ethics, a host of challenges. And even in countries where the use of AI is more prevalent and deeper in terms of engagement, they have also had they've had their problems. But we cannot allow ourselves to be taken hostage because of fear of the downsides. Also, you've mentioned the fake news deployment of artificial intelligence and algorithms to spread fake news. That was a genuine fear, and we all saw that particularly during the COVID-19, and all of that. And it's still an issue. But with that, have also been developed techniques to mitigate against some of these concerns that we genuinely are worried about.
For Luddites like me,
I didn't know you were a Luddite. You call yourself one.
yeah, okay. The example you cited in Mexico, where someone is already using robotic journalists.
Yes.
And okay, what's going to happen to manpower, the professionals who are trained as journalists, if you can already use robots to broadcast?
Again, it reminds me of what one of my favorite authors said in his book, Yuval Harari, in his book 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. I do not think we should be concerned about jobs as we ought to be concerned about lives, about human lives, and what improves the quality of human lives. Because jobs will come and go and jobs will evolve, right? So I think our major concern should be about the quality of life and how we can use tools or science to improve that life quality. So I'm not really big on obsession about jobs, whether it's jobs for journalists or jobs for interior decorators or designers. No, but how we're able to use these tools to improve the quality of our life, and also to be aware, which is painfully a big problem in journalism, as I'm sure it's probably is the case in other professions. It's a bit like, cooking the frog, all right? And it doesn't know that the temperature is changing until it's too late to jump out. That's really the problem, I think, with a number of folks, especially journalists, and perhaps this could also apply to other professions. People are so worried and so concerned and so obsessed about is AI going to, what is AI going to do? More than they are about seeing what benefits it offers and how they can leverage those benefits for the improvement of their lives. I think that's what we ought to be concerned about. How we can possibly, and the examples that you mentioned are true. Examples in Mexico and in Poland, where, and there are many parts of the world, where this is the case. But the type of news or the type of content that AI is used to generate in those places are content that you call drudgery. I mean, these are mundane content. Why do you have to send a host of journalists, for example, from your newsroom, deploy them to cover a press conference? You don't need that. The whole point of AI is so that we as journalists can focus more on the human aspect of the content that we create, on the things about meaning and context. That's so that we do a deeper job of journalism, which is what we are called to do, and leave the drudgery for machines to deal with. But except we come to that understanding and see what benefits it offers and seize the benefit, we are going to be, the world is not waiting anyway, regardless of our concerns and our fears.
How are we in third world countries, with all the challenges we have of developments, going to adapt and cope with all of
navigate?
this?
Yeah, I mean that's a fair question. Professor Ferruc Perugi and I, an academic, Professor Ferruc Perugi's
he's a well-read columnist as well.
So there's a paper that we actually did on the digital black hole and potential impact and concerns about AI and job losses. And what we found, especially about the Nigerian space, and I think that it's pretty much you can say about how this also resonates in other parts of the continent, is that there really isn't that clear and present threat to jobs yet. And I say that yet, about the deployment of AI. But on the regular level, most a number of newspaper or number of media houses are already deploying AI to improve the quality of service and the quality of content that they have, either in terms of how news is collected or processed or distributed, also to improve their revenue. But we also noticed in that study an interesting dissonance between how interaction with AI between older jobs and the younger ones, right? So, which is also the in many parts of the world, that people are either the Gen or the millennials, the way they consume content is completely different from the way the Gen X and the boomers consume content. All right. But what we need to do is to adapt and to evolve and not to be too scared. But there really isn't the clear and present danger about loss of jobs yet.
So how are we going to handle issues about ethical concerns, originality?
Oh yes, so yeah. I mean, those are very genuine concerns, and in a number of places in Associated Press, in other major news outlets in the world, so where this has become fairly widely used. So there are regulations about need to disclose when you use artificial intelligence to prepare content, for example. So places where this thing is used, you are required to make some sort of disclosure about what, and then you are also to the extent to which you can deploy AI. And there are also tools that can help you fact check whether particular content has been wholly curated as AI generated content, or whether it's actually an improvement on the quality based on human effort. But AI or not, you always require human effort to supervise the work and to ensure safety in terms of how it's delivered.
And finally, this rich paper you have, synthesized for your readers, is it available? I mean, the entire content, is it available?
The full paper is available on azubikeshekwene.com, where my papers are published. And for those who are also interested in the academic journal that will publish the paper sometime in January, it's going to be published in the Journal of Applied Journalism and Media Studies in the UK sometime around the middle of January. And of course, this will also be on my webpage for folks to go and enjoy.
All right, before I let you go, the sequel to your book, Writing for Media and Monetizing It, is out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much, Julius. And this is a small but mighty book. A small but mighty.
Does it contain material on AI?
Oh, yes, it does contain material on AI and how you can use it for your benefit. It also contains material on how you can, it's a deeper dive, a deeper level of engagement on how you can monetize content. So those who read Writing for Media, Monetizing It, and felt, oh, well, maybe there's still a bit more that they need, this book is the place to go. It's a sequel. It's a damn good companion for the main book.
Well, you've heard it from the horse's mouth, like they say. Please go to azu.media and pre-order. Thank you for coming on the show, Azu.
Thanks for having me once again, Julius.
For more details on this, you heard it from Azu himself. For the entire paper on AI and its effects on journalism or other industry, or as it may concern you, please go to azuishekwene.com. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.
Conversations with Azu Ishekwene.